Introducing Minor Wisdom Quintet.
1, 2, a skidda-didda-doo.
Minor Wisdom.
Alright guys, so I am sitting in my car. I just did a live video on Facebook because that's what the kids want these days. And so if this sounds a little funny, it's because it is a little funny. It's, again, in my truck right now. I'm sitting outside the Jewish Community Center, the Evelyn Rubenstein Jewish Community Center, slowly applying myself, ingesting myself, that sounds disgusting, into the professional world of theater. This week doing choreographers times 6. Really, there are 7 pieces, but 6 new choreographers. The Houston Ballet doesn't count as a new choreographer. Actually, I take that back. They're not new choreographers. They're new pieces from choreographers. Whatever. I didn't read the script. So I am working this week, which is great. I'm still in the classroom. I posted on Facebook last week that I was leaving the classroom, and man, I think I talked about this last week, but it blew up. I'm still getting people thinking that I was telling them that I resigned and it was effective Monday. It is not. I'm finishing the school year. So just to clarify that, I would not leave in the middle because I do want to come back to education. And if you do that in the state of Texas, you have to, have a good record and not leave in the middle of a semester. So anyway, I did not. I'm still in the classroom directing one-act play, and I put directing in quotes. I think I did that last week too, but I do have some great people around me, some great student directors that put in a lot of time and effort, and I'm very pleased with where we are. As I tell my students, because I was not raised in the world of one-act play, that this year we are zone or bust. Zone or bust, baby. I believe I said that last week too. Anyway, it's repetitive. I'm like Shakespeare of the podcast. Thou ist Shakespeare of the podcast. Anyway, I've said anyway now twice in one sentence. This week I have Kayla Boffone, but she'll say it in there. She'll say it. I just don't worry about it. She is the director at Bel Air High School, Bel Air Cardinals High School. That is where my sister went to school, graduated in 1996. That is where my mother went to school, graduated in 1968. So my ties to Bel Air are deep, familial, but mine personally, I did not go to Bel Air. I did compete at Bel Air a couple years ago, and I found my mom's senior year panoramic picture in the office. That was kind of cool, and I found my mom in that picture. That was kind of fun and neat. Bel Air High School is going through a complete renovation. It's funny because when my sister was there, I believe it had just finished a renovation, and I talk about that in this interview. But Kayla is a fun person to get to know. She's also working with Gail Silver, aka Gail Silver. Gail was my former theater teacher in middle school at Welch Middle School. What? Welch Warriors? Although they're not the Warriors anymore because that is not politically correct, but I digress. But Gail Silver teaches with Kayla, and we talk about that too. I think we talk about that on record. I don't remember now. I don't go back and listen to everything unless it's Stuart Savage. I've learned that lesson. Teacher Needs a Drink, by the way, is a great podcast. Speaking of drinking while potting, so make sure you check that out. They do a much better job of marketing and pushing their product than I do, but that's okay. This is niche. This is what we'd call a niche podcast for you people. I hope everybody's having a great week. Hope everybody enjoys their President's Day off. Hope everybody gets their President's Day off. And we are now deep into one-act play contest season, seeing all those clinics. This week, speaking of Stuart Savage, this week I am clinicking with Stuart. Or no, he is clinicking for me. And that's going to be kind of fun at Sharpstown High School with Julio Morales. So 2 of my favorite people in the room at one time. I can't ask for a better clinic than that. I hope you enjoy this interview. I hope you enjoy this week's Groaner Joke of the Week. Have a good one, everybody. This week's Groaner Joke of the Week. It is President's Day themed and also a joke that is near and dear to my heart. Why did President Harry S. Truman drop the first atomic bomb? Because he thought it would be more humane than sending in Chuck Norris.
I am Kayla Boffone. I teach at Beller High School. I got into education because when I was a senior in college, so I went to school to do acting.
Okay.
And I went to a small liberal arts college in Southern California called Chapman University.
Oh, yeah, in Orange.
Yeah.
I have quite a few friends that went there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you've either never heard of it or
Oh,
people
no,
have heard
yeah.
of it.
So, two of my closest friends in the whole world went there. So,
Awesome.
anyway,
Oh my
for film.
gosh. Yeah.
But one is still doing it, one is not.
Yeah,
Anyway.
totally. Which, any arts profession, I feel like
Yeah.
that's totally normal.
Yeah.
But my senior year, I ended up studying abroad in London and just kind of decided I didn't want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted stability. And I saw like people graduating ahead of me, going to LA and going to New York, and it just seemed really rough, and I just didn't want to do it.
Didn't want that struggle.
Didn't want that to hustle in that way.
Yeah.
And ultimately ended up getting an internship at the Pennsylvania Youth Theater, and decided I really loved working with kids. And then I moved down south to New Orleans and started substitute teaching, and was like, hey, I could be a theater teacher. And then just luck, ended up in Houston with my husband.
Okay.
And Texas has amazing educational theater.
Are you from California?
I am.
Okay.
So I grew up in Southern California, and I lived there until I graduated college, and then haven't lived there again.
What part of Southern California?
It's called. So I grew up in a town called Fallbrook. It's North San Diego County.
Okay.
It's like rural San Diego County.
Right.
But my family now, they relocated, and after I went to college, they live in Orange County now. So they live in like San
I wonder if we
Bernardino.
know similar people, because
I feel like we might.
my friend Daniel, who went to Chapman, he still lives he met his wife, and they live in Orange County and are raising a family in Orange, and his wife has been there has never left Orange County.
What year did they graduate?
They would have graduated in 2004 from Chapman.
Okay.
So
pretty. I graduated in 2010.
Yeah, I was like, I think they were there for 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few that lasted 7 in college and only got an undergrad for that particular time period.
No shame.
Yeah, no shame. What are your thoughts on the weather?
The weather? Oh gosh. I am kind of a princess about the weather. I tell my family I just don't go outside 6 months of the year, and I don't really go outside 6 months of the year. I'm pretty dramatic about it. It's actually my goal to like acclimate myself better this summer, and
So how long have you been in Texas?
7 years.
Oh,
8 years.
Okay.
No, 8 years.
Okay, so it's
This
been
is
a
my
while.
7th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is your husband a Texan?
No, he actually grew up in New Orleans.
Okay. So he's used to this area, this climate.
Oh yeah, he's super used to it, and yeah, like I said, I'm kind of a princess about it.
What does he do?
He is actually a Spanish teacher at Beller High School.
Okay.
He is. This sounds silly to say, but he is a viral dancing Spanish teacher. You may have seen. If you've
is
heard
he
of
one of those like dances with the kids or that kind of thing, or no?
Yeah. So last spring, his
That's funny.
Instagram, they started just posting random dance videos,
Yeah.
and it's kind of blown up. But
That's cool.
Yeah, his name is Trevor Boffone, and so he teaches.
Do the kids think it's cool that like the both of you teach at the same? Like, do kids have both of you? I'm assuming.
They do. So it's a pretty big school.
Yeah.
A lot of kids.
It's a large 6A.
Yeah. So it's like little under 3,500,
Okay.
I believe. And so we have a lot of the same like Theater 1 kids.
Yeah.
And then he teaches Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, so we do share a lot of kids. The first year, a lot of kids were asking if we were cousins or brother and
Got it.
sister, or how we. So I think some of them, when they find out that we're
You're
married.
married,
They're
yeah.
very surprised by that, or it's very confusing to them. But yeah, I think now they all pretty much know.
Have you ever caught a kid talking negatively about your husband, like in regards to just like, oh God, it's Spanish class, like that kind of thing? Not necessarily as a person, but like.
So I not in recent memory. It
Yeah.
kind of they're pretty good about.
Yeah.
I think sometimes he's told me stories. I guess I don't pay attention to it as much, but I think they've said stuff about like taking theater or
Right.
maybe
Right.
about me, and he'll be like, wait, you know that's my wife, right? Like, you know.
What do you miss about professional world?
So
It can be multiple things.
yeah, I miss. So I do occasionally direct.
Okay. Outside of school.
Outside of school.
Yeah.
I really love educational theater and directing educational theater. So I don't do it. I honestly don't do it very often, but I've done a couple festivals and things. And I think what I miss. So directing to me isn't that different, depending on the level. But like I miss the community of like being an actor in a show. And so right out of college, I did some tech.
Okay.
A lot of tech stuff. And I miss just kind of like being on a team from
Yeah.
that side of it.
Yeah.
I definitely miss that. So.
Yeah. What would you say your strength is, both in the directing side and the tech side?
Definitely. I think if I had gone into professional theater or professional film or something like that, I would have tried to do like casting, directing.
Okay.
I think my strength
That's
is.
so California of you.
I know. To even
so-
think about it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's what I think my strength
Why?
is.
Why? Like, so what is the appeal of that job? Because I feel like, and because I don't know much about casting directing, because
Yeah.
I've honestly never done it or even been a part of like the process.
Yeah.
What's appealing about casting a show and then not doing the show? Does that make sense? Like, or casting a movie or a film or a
Yeah.
commercial, and then you have nothing to do with it other than
Than casting.
you just told the actors who can and can't be in it.
Totally. I think it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, I guess.
Sure.
It's like
But it's like putting a puzzle together that you don't get to see, or that, like, it's more, to me, the way, and again, cut me off, because this is your interview, but like, to me, it'd be like, you get to pick the pieces
Yeah.
for the puzzle, and sometimes you pick
Yeah.
the wrong piece. So maybe that puzzle gets put together, and it's got, like, you're like, wait a second, this is supposed to look like a Ferrari, but we have this piece for, a beautiful landscape. What is this? And it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
So this is totally where I'm
You
going to get a
did the
little
puzzle
hippie about
analogy,
it.
but yeah.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to get a little hippie about it. Is something that I tell my kids, and I don't know how other adults will respond to this.
Sure.
But when the kids, what I always tell them, like if they're feeling really insecure, or like I don't think I can do it, is what I say. Like I genuinely say this is I don't make mistakes in casting. I've cast the right person for this
Right.
project, and
so it's a strength of yours. Yeah.
well, and I honestly don't say that in like a arrogant or like an overconfident way. But what I mean when I say it is like more of like a woo-woo kind of way. Like the right people will line up for this project,
Sure.
and you've
So
been put into this.
You have
for a
the
reason.
ability to decide who can be put in these parts so that the work becomes easier once that happens.
I
So
believe so. I believe that's
Yeah,
one of my
yeah,
strengths,
that's what you-
and
yeah.
I think that's
that's
something.
good. That was the original question anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that is my strength. Is
Sure.
picking a show that's right for the
Your
group of
people.
kids, and then putting the right people
Yeah.
in the right roles.
Yeah.
And I think your job becomes so much easier and more fun
Right.
when you've cracked that code
Right.
as a director.
What about as a technician? Like,
As a
do you
technician?
have do you have a good strength as a technician? You said you went into
Ooh.
tech. Was that out of convenience? Because that's similar to me. I was a designer that
Yeah.
couldn't find design work, that ended up getting hired as a technician and just fell in love with it and
Yeah.
became a technician.
So I kind of fell into, so the school I went to was small enough to where we didn't have a massive tech program, but I got connected through a guy that my mom had worked with a community college
Okay.
near where my family ended up relocating in Orange County, called Saddleback College.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, they used to do, they don't do it anymore, but they used to do a civic light opera every summer.
Okay.
And so I kind of just, as a summer job, fell
Cool.
into tech and found this group of people that I really, really loved. And I think that was, like, looking back, my career, that was, like, definitely the most fun
Yeah.
thing I've done. I mean, teaching theater is really fun,
Right.
but
Yeah.
aside from teaching theater.
I we just came from lunch. I made that. Philip Taylor said something about, asked me about my accomplishments. What are my big? And I said all these things, and he goes, "So your kids, your own, like?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, true." So I get it. Like, sometimes you just assume that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a choice
Yeah.
that I would say. What is so knowing Bel Air?
Yeah.
Because I actually lit a couple shows there when I was not teaching for
Oh,
Paul
really?
for Munson. Yeah, I did Metamorphosis, and I forget what musical
What?
I did, but yeah.
We still have the pool.
Do you?
Yeah, everyone always asks, like, what is this pool from? And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's from Metamorphosis.
Yeah, so I did that show, and part of the in at Bel Air for me at that time was Gail Silver, right?
Yeah.
So who I could go on for days about
I
Gail
know.
Silver.
Love Gail so much.
But knowing how Bel Air works,
Yeah.
I have questions about that.
Sure.
Do you currently do black box shows?
We do currently do
Okay.
black box shows. They had, my understanding is they had not been done
In a while.
yeah. And then out of convenience and, like, space.
Yeah.
How
You don't have to
competitive
share.
Spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
having to share the space.
Yeah.
We started doing them.
Yeah, that's exactly that's when I first started teaching at Dulles.
Yeah.
They said they do a fall show every year. It's like,
Yeah.
great, in our auditorium. I was like, we have a black box.
Yeah.
And because then band needs to use auditorium for
Right.
the X, Y, and Z, which is not a problem.
Right.
But said instead of fighting you guys for schedule, let's
Yeah.
just do fall. We'll have the fall away from the auditorium. You can have it, and then
Yeah.
we take the auditorium in the spring for musical and one-act play. That's
Yeah.
worked out great. I could see that working at how that works at Bel Air. Because Bel Air, do they have a band field? Do they have a place for the band?
Not currently.
Right. So do they probably work in the auditorium some a little bit?
They do work in the auditorium.
Like during
they
marching season,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. So since construction started,
Yeah.
we don't.
Oh yeah, it's all
have-
getting that parking lot side of things is getting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're totally redoing. They got the bond, and they're
Yeah.
totally redoing the new school. And so I know band. There's a church across the street
Yeah.
that I think allows, like, JROTC and
Yeah.
like different groups to use their parking lot. So I think sometimes they use that. I honestly, I can't speak to where they normally rehearse. I know they use the
Yeah.
band room, and then, like, every club on campus, like,
Yeah.
there's a massive culture of, like, everyone's in a club.
Here's
they
what's
all have
funny
things.
about your school, or my knowledge of your
Yeah,
school.
tell me. I'm
So
obsessed
you
with
guys,
Bel Air.
because you guys are doing a big build and remodel, or is it just a new build?
It is I believe it's both.
Okay.
So the science wing was built
Yeah.
in the 90s, and I think they're
Yeah.
updating
So
some
I
of it.
remember because there was almost a shell built around the old
Yeah.
school, right? And you can still almost you can go into that shell or
Yeah.
because it's like hallways.
Yeah.
And then but you also see where the old school used to
Right.
be. And it's so funny because like I said, my mom went there
Mm-hmm.
or graduated in the 60s, and so she remembers the inner part of the shell or the inner
So
part.
when she was there, was it just that main hall?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty much just that one hall.
Wow.
I mean, there were a couple like side, but and then my sister went there, and while my sister was there, was when they built the outer shell.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so that was all brand new and like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so cool. And now, again, 25 years later,
Yeah.
they're doing doing something more.
Yeah,
So
it's
which
insane.
is it's crazy how time goes by. Why are you obsessed with Bel Air? You just said that. You kind of glossed over it.
I love it. So I was at 2 different HISD schools. I was at a high school when I first started, and it was a great school. I just decided I wanted to try. I wanted to work closer. It was pretty far from where I live.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get somewhere closer, as well as I wanted to try running a program on my own.
Sure.
So I got a promotion of sorts and went to a middle school, and thinking, the workload would be slightly different. And I ended up getting pretty burnt out, because what you don't realize, or what I didn't realize at the time, was that teaching middle school, yes, they're younger, but like the challenges are completely different. So I was the tech director, I was the director, I was the choreographer, I was kind of doing everything and trying to keep up this quality for my students. And I got pretty burnt out and ended up, and I think my school knows this, I think people know this, but I was kind of at the point where either I'm gonna go find another career, or I'm gonna go back to a school where I have a team and where I'm working with other people. So it was I was at like a Bel Air or nothing point. I applied for that job. I applied for a couple jobs, but I knew the reputation of Bel Air. I had competed against Paul and Gail, and
mostly Paul, but yeah.
mostly Paul. And I knew I had met the kids, and I knew what a great place it was. And my mentor teacher at the high school I was at when I first started, he had actually been there for a couple years.
Who was that?
Anthony Wallen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so he always talked about Bel Air being like just this amazing place.
Yeah.
Like the kids are great, the community's great.
Kids are great.
And so just being familiar with it, I was like, I think Bel Air is the place I need to be.
Yeah.
And if I don't get this job, then I'm gonna go find something else. And
yeah, Bel Air's
luckily
biggest
I got
downfall for a long time was just their facility. Like, I mean, because Paul took shows to state, or at least a show, and I know, and then they've had obviously success in baseball, winning a freaking national championship in '99 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Which I knew the kids that were on that team because I went to school with them. But anyway, Jose Cruz Jr. or Enrique Cruz. Bel Air's you met my sister this morning.
Yeah.
She's in love with that school. The minute you said that, she just lit up. So going back to what we were discussing off mic before about time, right?
Right.
So talking about the sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to be smart. There's this notion that if you are teaching middle school, you're going to have more time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's true on the weekends. Maybe you're not spending as many Saturdays up there.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
As far as
No, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, but as far as that Monday through Friday, it's just as much, if not more. Because
that's what I found.
Because here's what I get from my wife, Blake. I get this all the time. Blake, I don't have the kind of time during the day that you have. I'm not able to walk out of a classroom and leave my kids doing a project and trust that they'll do this project. I have to be in there the entire time. So I can't go answer emails unless I'm alone, and my only alone time is my 30-minute lunch. And so all this stuff builds up that if you don't do it, you don't know it. So, which I guess is true for life. But so speak on that. Like, I mean, how demanding were you making it on yourself to sort of create such a quality program, and with time constraints and lack of?
So I came from, it was my third year teaching when I started at the middle school. And we did 3 shows a year. So we did, one of them was UIL and one of them was the musical. And so the rehearsal schedule was less coming from the high school I came from. Like, we would rehearse at that high school probably, like the max you could within UIL rules, plus like Fridays and some Saturdays. And then middle school, it was exactly the same. It was exactly the same. I just remember several times, and then having to do, the biggest thing for me was like costumes, props, and set, and having to figure all that out on my own. And if any issues happened, finding the time to get
resolve
a specialist and resolve it. And the kids were amazing. Like, the kids in my advanced class, definitely, a lot of them stepped up. I remember this one kid really just became took a lot of ownership over, the light board and soundboard, and could just figure stuff out on his own. and was something like he was really proud of, and that was amazing. The kids really stepped up, but at the end of the day, they're still middle school students.
Right.
So instead of like in a high school, I can hand a light or like show them a row of lights and say, go hang these,
Right.
And trust that they're going to use safe ladder
Sure.
safety measures and all that. Like I have to hang the light myself.
Right.
So stuff like that. I mean, middle school teachers are amazing.
Yeah.
The work they
Different
do.
energy.
Super different energy, and it's just incredible. So I found out through that process that I was a high school teacher,
Right.
and I needed to.
I can't teach middle school because I curse.
So I found that I was able to have middle school Boffone.
Right. Yeah.
And as soon as I step back into a high school,
Yeah.
high school Boffone comes
Yeah.
out. So.
Yeah, I got in trouble this year because I cursed in my classroom, but I don't curse at kids, like
Yeah.
and most of us don't. I mean, that
Oh,
would be
yeah.
crazy. But I've had students say, "Why do you curse so much?" And I tell them, "Because I have little children at home, and I can't at home."
So you're just
You know,
getting it out.
yeah,
Just
like
getting it out.
I would never dare do this in front of my 7-year-old, but a 17-year-old is fine. You understand? That's funny. What is something, or maybe, I don't know how much experience you had in Louisiana, because you said you were in New Orleans for a little bit.
Yeah.
But their public school system is notoriously poor, if you will, not good. And I don't mean poor financially. I mean just
Yeah.
it's just not a good school system.
Yeah.
What is something that you were able to get knowledge-wise or experience-wise from Louisiana that you migrated over to Texas?
Ooh, so I ended up.
And what did you sub for?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what. So I subbed at private schools.
Okay,
One was
okay.
Sacred Heart, and another one was called, I'm trying to remember the name, Mickey.
You could literally say table lattice salad
Yeah.
bowl, like
That I might have the name
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah.
it was an all-girls school.
Okay.
So that was something interesting that I learned. Like the students were great. I was teaching. I mostly subbed for a science teacher, which was interesting. And so I think the biggest thing for me was learning that I didn't want to be like a
science
course
teacher?
subject. Yeah, that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, because I had always thought like I'll just go and be like a generalist and I'll
Yeah.
do like like English or science,
Yeah.
and it really taught me like no,
So
like,
much different
theater's your
pressure.
passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to go teach theater.
Yeah.
And also I didn't want to work at an all-girls school
Right.
necessarily. That has its own unique
Yeah.
challenges.
If you were forced to teach
Yeah.
a core subject, it would be English.
I feel like English. So I've
It translates the best.
discussed this with people. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like honestly English is the only other thing I'd be qualified
Right.
to teach.
What about history? Because like I always
maybe.
feel like history is a good translation because
Yeah.
I love teaching theater history personally.
True, I do love theater
So
history.
I feel like that I could fool my way through that. But
Yeah. Maybe for certain subjects. Not growing up in Texas, I'm very wary of it
Yeah.
because like there's
'Cause
things that
there's
I know
Texas
I don't
history?
know. Right,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Texas,
yeah.
like there'll be things
my
that people
gosh.
tell me, and I'm like, I guess I didn't learn.
Do
there's
they
like different history.
Do they teach California history?
They do.
Like, okay.
And it's all about like
The gold rush?
missions and the gold. No, it literally is. It's like all about the gold rush and the missions and.
So I have a few more questions
that.
because I know you want to get
Oh,
to a
yeah, of
session,
course.
but
Which episode?
some of them are fun, some of them aren't.
Oh,
have
yeah,
have
love
you?
it.
I'm assuming. Did I just put an X in there? I'm assuming. I'm assuming you have experienced an earthquake.
Yes, I have.
What's the worst earthquake experience? And is this a trauma reminder that my sister
it
was
is
talking
not.
about?
It is
Okay,
not.
good.
It's actually a joke with my family because we'll be in conversation here. People like from the Mid-East or
Yeah, because now you've had a hurricane too.
did I just say Mid-East? I mean Midwest.
Midwest, but that's
I mean
okay.
Midwest.
Yeah, Mid-East works as well.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Midwest
Yeah.
and the East. No, I have had a hurricane, and I actually.
You're just getting all of them.
Yeah, no, I get really super paranoid and freaked out to the point where like it's annoying for my husband. Like
Yeah.
I'll go to the grocery store and just like over.
Oh, you're that
Just,
person.
I'm like
Yeah.
I'm totally that person. But I'm not that way with earthquakes. Earthquakes, it's like people will always say like I could never live in California
Yeah.
because of those earthquakes,
It's
and
but
it's hilarious to me
yeah.
because it's like almost like a I mean, like if you're in the epicenter, if you're in a place where like it's like on the fault, right? Like obviously it's a very different experience. I've only experienced them. We lived pretty far, like 45 minutes to an hour away. And it's just kind of like a weird like sensation.
Yeah.
And I remember,
but and like 150 years ago, maybe it was scary because you didn't have things built the way that they're built now, that they don't fall. So
exactly. So I mean, in different parts of the world, this may be a very different case.
Right.
But like in California, like they have the building codes.
Pretty safe. Yeah.
It's relatively.
Whataburger or In-N-Out?
In-N-Out.
Because it's huge right now. That's especially in Houston because we have some now.
I know. And I haven't been to the new In-N-Out.
It's literally the one in Sugar Land. I could walk to it from my school.
Is it amazing?
So.
What do you think?
I honestly, I'm one of the few Texans that would tell you In-N-Out. That I prefer In-N-Out better.
You're the only Texan I've ever met.
And here's why. Like, I think Whataburger burgers are some of the freshest burgers you could ever eat, but they're not the most tasty. Like, you can tell it's fresh. You can tell, like, there's something about how it tastes, I guess, or how.
I've had arguments with people about this.
that Whataburger's fresh. I don't think In-N-Out. I'm not saying In-N-Out isn't fresh, but I don't think it just doesn't have that taste.
Yeah.
If you like a delicious, just sloppy American burger, In-N-Out is better.
Yeah.
It's just there's something in an animal style fries like.
Yeah.
If you got, I think In-N-Out fries and Whataburger fries separate without all the fluff.
Totally.
I might choose Whataburger, but In-N-Out fries when they're animal style, they're they're a heart attack waiting to happen, but they're delicious.
Yeah, you really can't beat that. No, I'm definitely hardcore In-N-Out.
I feel like I have to cut this part out of the podcast because I'm gonna get like hate tweets or emails and stuff from Texans that are like, how dare you turn your back on us? Now if I had to choose ultimately which the best burger though, fast food burger, I don't know if I'd choose any of those.
What would you choose?
See, so like I crave, this is horrible. I'm embarrassed. Like I don't eat this very often, right? But well, first of all, Tornado Burger, which if you've never had Tornado Burger, there's only like 2 locations.
In Oklahoma?
No. There may be a Tornado Burger in Oklahoma, which makes sense because obviously, but no, there's it's just called Tornado Burger. It's on I think Murphy Road.
Yeah.
It's in the southwest side of Houston.
Yeah.
That's the best burger in town, in my opinion.
Okay.
Other than that, fast food wise, a single patty cheeseburger from McDonald's.
Really?
There's something, and maybe it's a nostalgia thing for me. There's something about just how tiny and it's melty and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I crave that burger. Not often, but like when I'm
I don't care. Sorry.
When I'm pregnant, I love a single patty. So, what were you about to? You were leaning into the mic. What were you about to say? Damn, like closer, like.
I was gonna apologize to the like not there currently listeners for saying damn. Sorry, I said damn.
I interviewed a guy once that thought this was live, and I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Oh.
I'm gonna record. This is
was
coming out.
Was he waiting for someone to call in?
No.
Like.
Does anybody have questions? Anybody have questions? Just call in. Just 888-529. Yeah, that would be funny.
That would be funny.
So give me to wrap up. Give me. I'll wrap up like a nerd, like a theater nerd would wrap up. A show that you really want to do, but could probably never get away with, either because of your architectural restrictions or just because it's just not something that we should do in high school.
Oh, something
or that
an administration,
or not. No, that you should. Like an administration would be like, hell no, you're never doing XYZ. Like Avenue Q is not one that most people are going to approve, even the school edition.
Oh gosh.
And this doesn't have to be an indictment on your administration. It just.
Well, so I'm having trouble because our administration is pretty. Honestly, like very, very supportive. Like we did She Kills Monsters, we did a abridged version because it was Harvey year.
Sure.
But we didn't have to cut content. We just did Urinetown.
Good for you.
We did Putnam, which is not like.
No. Not risque.
Not risque.
Yeah.
But gosh, so a show that I really want to do, probably I would want to do this show, but I don't necessarily know that I would want to do this with high school kids, but probably Rocky Horror.
Oh, okay.
I really love campy theater.
Yeah.
Like I love Xanadu and
Have you ever been to the Pocket Sandwich Theater in Dallas?
no.
You need
Pocket
to, if
Sandwich.
you're ever in Dallas, go to the Pocket Sandwich Theater.
Yeah.
If you love campy theater.
I love campy theater.
And you probably will never leave. So it's one of those places
Pocket
that
Sandwich.
they throw popcorn, like
Yeah.
you know, at the Villain.
Yeah.
They'll be like, no, and they give you popcorn, like they intend for you to do this. It's a
love
great
it.
space. I've talked about it on here before, but my wife acted in a couple shows there. But if you're ever in Dallas, go to the Pocket Sandwich Theater. If you like that stuff.
Yeah.
If you need it quiet and
Yeah.
no disturbing at all, don't go to that theater.
Pocket.
Yeah.
I love it.
Pocket Sandwich.
Pocket Sandwich.
Anyway, well, thanks.
Minor